Hello everybody, my name is Christian and my research topic was torture. I watched this movie called Unthinkable. It was on the premises of this hypothetical scenario which is called the ticking time bomb scenario. And in that case, there's a person, a terrorist, that has the threat of potentially killing millions or thousands of people due to their terrorist act. Usually it's like a bomb or something like that. To begin, you first have to set the grounds of what is torture. The way I define torture and the way it's defined, it's a way of inflicting pain in physical, psychological, or emotional pain on people for the purpose of extracting information or being used in the sense of pleasure. Well, in this case, when it's used by the country, it is used for extracting information from terrorists or other form of criminals. It is important to know that there's three main stances on this point. Two of which was covered by the movie Unthinkable, and the other one is a combination of the two. So, a little spoiler, there's a Black Ops operator in the movie that is an interrogator, and he was brought in to interrogate this terrorist that had the potential threat, that stated that he made 3 bombs that were spread through 3 main cities and would wipe out hundreds and millions of people. And he was brought in to interrogate in a form that is very menacing and very unethical. He used torture methods such as taking off nails or electrocuting, waterboarding, all those cruel and very bad stuff that would break any human, regardless of how strong your willpower is. And an FBI agent was the other person. The FBI agent used more of an interrogation sense, that did an interrogation in a sense that is not very physical or mental. It was more like asking questions and trying to understand the terrorist's view and trying to sway it towards a more positive way of, him giving up the information so way nobody dies, like stuff like that. The Black Ops operator's viewpoint is very similar to a utilitarian viewpoint, which is that the freedom or the safety of one person is not worth as much as the safety and protection of millions of people or more than one person. That way of thinking is very materialistic in the sense that you can quantify what life is based on how many lives there are. That is usually considered as morally wrong because most people don't agree that there should be a value placed on numbers of lives versus one life. Usually people that have a utilitarian way of thinking is depicted in movies and comic books or stories as a villain, somebody that is very materialistic and not very emotionally connected to the people that are going to be used in this situation. For example, Thanos, right? His view was that, if we get rid of half of the population, the other half is going to survive and thrive. But if half of our population isn't killed, then everybody's going to die. And in a sense, he was right that the benefit of the many exceeds the burden of the few. So his thought was to sacrifice half, so his country or his race would survive. But that's not very morally ethical, right? So it's mostly viewed as a villain point of view. The FBI agent is thought of to be as a Kant way of thinking. Kant's viewpoint on torture is that one's life is not quantifiably less than that of 4 or 7 or how many lives you want. Every life has its right to live, so you cannot quantify, right? It's not materialistic at all. Usually this way of thinking is considered as in stories, is considered to be as a main character or somebody that has very moral ethics, very righteous, in a sense. And the third way of thinking that encompasses both of the two thinkings, utilitarian and Kant's way of thinking, is it's called pragmatic. Sorry. The pragmatic way of thinking is that torture should be legalized, but limited by government intervention. So laws would be passed that would prevent people from torturing when it's not reasonable to do it, or only allow torture in certain situations that requires, government intervention. For example, a terrorist act, right? And the thing is, torture has been illegal in 140 countries. And out of those countries, 100 of them have been shown to use it over the past couple of years. 100 of 140 countries that illegalized torture has used it. So it's a way of thinking that, why are you hiding? Why would you say it's illegal and still practice it? That kind of goes against what laws are meant to be. Why not just let the government decide on, limitations on how and when or where to use torture for purposes of, national security or stuff like that. That's all. The Black Ops operator's viewpoint is very utilitarian. Utilitarian. Doesn't mean that you're allowed to do it as long as the government doesn't. Why? You know. 100 of 140 countries still use